Hey everybody, so I've had some people ask me to do a review on my pit that I use. I use a Franklin BBQ pit. It's one that I waited about 2 years to get, and I was super happy when I got it, and I've been loving it ever since. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some of the things about this and show you what I really like about it and maybe some things that I wish were different. But overall, I think it's a fantastic pit for anybody that wants to get into offset smoking. So first, I just wanted to come over here. We'll start with the most important part about this pit, which is the firebox. This firebox on this one is pretty big, especially for a pit this size. One thing I really like about it is that it's insulated, so it's made out of 5/16 inch steel, and then there's a second tube inside of the outer tube, so there's it creates an air pocket to insulate the firebox. Really helps with retaining heat and keeping consistent temperatures, but it also really helps in wintertime when it's cold outside to be able to keep the heat flowing into the cook chamber. Works really well. I've been really happy with this. One thing I like about how deep it is that if I ever need to, especially when it's cold, you can put your fire all the way up there, a bit of a cold bed all the way back here, and pre-warm the air as it comes through to keep that air warm, to keep it consistent. Something I can also do if I'm ever having to step away to take care of the kids or the dog or something, is I can actually stagger some logs all the way to the back to where they just kind of gradually will catch on fire, and it allows me to not have to reload this with wood every 20 minutes. I can actually go sometimes up to an hour if I stagger them enough before I have to come back out here and put wood back in it. I know some people have complained about their doors not working and doors not closing. My door has always worked perfectly fine. I have no idea what's wrong with other people's doors, but no matter what the temperature is, I've used this thing a ton. I've had it for about a year now, and whether it's hot outside or cold outside, whether the fire in here is billowing or whether there's no fire at all, the door just, for me, it always works, always opens and closes. Something that's truly great about this one too, I know a lot of people have a hard time with wind. When the wind blows the door closed, it'll put your fire out. This one, for one, it's heavy enough that the wind isn't going to blow it closed, but if the door ever does get closed for whatever reason, there's some notches here and the writing here that allows just enough air to go into the firebox to keep the fire going consistently, so you never have to worry about the fire getting put out because the door closes. So the cook chamber and the rest of this is all made out of 1/4 inch steel. One thing I really enjoy about this one is the handlebar here rolls, so it makes it easy when you're lifting it up. It just kind of rolls with it. The actual handle is stainless steel. The rest of this is just all steel. So you can kind of look inside of here. Something that's kind of cool that I like about it is they arched the grill back there to give you a little bit of extra space to be able to really put as much meat on here as possible. For me, I've been able to do 2 briskets and 2 pork butts on here all at the same time. In their literature and online, it says you can cook 3 briskets on here once. I'm sure you could. When I put my 2 briskets in here, I definitely had plenty of space for another one. It comes with a water pan and this is a deflector, but it's also a place to put the water pan. I've shown water pans quite a bit on my previous videos. They really help to keep the moisture in here consistent, which helps to make it so your meat doesn't dry out, but it also helps it so that it doesn't go into the stall too quickly, but also it helps it to come out of the stall quickly at the same time. I like to keep my pit clean, so after every time I use it, I always come out here. I make sure that the grate and the grill is cleaned off. Keep the grease out of the bottom cleaned out as well. One thing that's really cool about this one is the placement down here of the actual drip in the drip bucket. He puts it over here by the firebox, which I think is awesome, simply because the one thing you never want in an offset, and one thing that people always worry about, is grease fires, right? So instead of having the drip spout over here with the bucket, he puts it over here so that if once the grease starts getting over there closer to the firebox, he's just going to drip right out, never catches fire. One of the great things that I love about this thing, and I've actually, you know, been able to sear some food in this thing. When I season this thing, you know, I get it really really hot. It's not that hard to get the temperature up in this thing. It's very efficient, um, very effective with its convection and just transferring the heat from the firebox to the cook chamber. It's not hard to bury the needle on this thermometer here. Getting a big fire going over there on the firebox, you can season it really well. You can also sear stuff in this thing too if you ever need to. Thermometer, he puts it over here. One thing that I like the most about it is that it's not on the lid. It's put in a spot where it makes sense. It's put back here at grate level, back by where the food's cooking. I find that it's a good spot for it to be. It really does great for helping you to know what the temperature is in the area that you're cooking. Sometimes I do kind of wish that there could be one here in the middle too, just because to check the temperature of the heat coming and hitting the meat first, and then check it when it's coming to the back. But you know, once you learn how to use it back here, you kind of know what your temperature is here. Does a good enough job that you can, you know, monitor your temperature and keep it consistent. You know, putting it in the middle here to me just isn't ideal anyways, just because I don't like having them on the lid, on the hood, simply because every time you open it, it's going to start messing with your temperature and the gauge. It's nicer just to keep it right here, where it's just always, even if you open the hood here, this isn't going to be impacted as much as it is if it's on the lid. Something else that I'm not sure if you guys could see inside of here or not, but it's the collector on it. So one thing that's really really great about this one is the collector goes from wall to wall for the smoke. A lot of them will have no collector, so the pipe just comes into the side, or they'll have a collector that doesn't go all the way across. Having the collector go all the way across from side to side really helps to force the smoke. One, having it at grate level keeps the smoke at grate level, but having it all the way across forces the smoke to get pulled all the way across and never funnels into anything until it gets past the meat into the collector. Then it funnels in and up the smokestack. So something to keep in mind whenever you're looking at any smoker in general is always look at the chimney. Look at where the smokestack is placed. Is it on the side? Is it on the top? Is it placed somewhere that makes sense? You know, when you're looking at any grill or smoker or whatever, like, just think to yourself, was this made by somebody who actually knows barbecue, or is it just made by an engineer somewhere, right? So, but with this one, because it's on the side, pulls it all over at grate level. It's wide, so it pulls it all across the width of the actual cooker, and then it just comes straight up the smokestack. But the chimney is tall. It is very tall. But I feel like it's the right length. You know, a taller chimney really helps with the convection. You know, a lot of people don't realize if you have a chimney that's too, like if the chimney was here, just too short, it's not going to draw air as quickly and as much, and so you're not going to get as much smoke coming through, and it's not going to be as efficient with the heat. So the taller the smokestack, the more air it's going to pull. If it's too tall, then of course it pulls too much air through, and that's not good either. So this one I think is just kind of the right length for the size of this smoker, and it does really well. It just kind of bolts on. It's really the only part that is bolted on is the chimney itself. So if you ever wanted to take it off or needed to, you can to move it. You know, with mine, I just got mine as the stainless steel. You do have an option to where you can have them powder coat it. I did initially want to have mine powder coated. I was a little bit disappointed just because they didn't have the powder coating material available, and they didn't know when they would have it again. Can't really blame them with everything going on in the world and with supply and stuff like that. Just kind of impacts things, and honestly, I just didn't want to wait, so I just got the stainless steel one and I seasoned it. I've seasoned this one twice now. You know, my plan is to season it every spring and then every fall. So I seasoned it spring of this year and fall of this year, and it's already got that nice patina. We're starting to blacken. Just treat it like a cast iron pan, and it should work. It should be great. You know, later on when it gets to springtime, I'll show you guys how I season this thing, and you can see how to do that as well. You guys, if you have any more questions, like, feel free to post them in the comments below, and just write any questions you have or any suggestions you have or anything else that you want to see about this. Happy to make a video and happy to show it to you guys.